Hello, and welcome to a yoga class that will be on the mat and standing. Please join me as we practice yoga. So coming to a seated position, I'm in hero's pose. My heels are underneath my glutes, tops of my feet into the earth. And from here, I can sink all the way back. But if that's uncomfortable for you, grab a block. Place the block between your feet and sit on the block. Either way, come to hero's pose. Draw the shoulders down your back and breathe in and out. And close your eyes for a moment and just sense your body. How do your feet feel? How do your knees feel? We always want to check in with the joints. Dropping the shoulders down away from the ears, but still lifting through the spine. Come to the breath and take a few breaths here. Notice if your breath is even. And then float your eyes open and join me in a table pose. Hands under your shoulders. You can turn the ball of the foot to the floor or still have the tops of the feet into the floor. And let's do some cat-cows. So we warm up the spine here by lifting the sternum forward and then tucking the chin, pulling the belly button in and up. And then come forward again, lifting through the sternum. And then round. So do that a couple more times and just get into your spine, see how it feels. And then come to neutral, extend one foot back, press the ball of the foot into the floor. Even out the hips so that when we lift this leg, a lot of times we lift that hip. So by keeping the toes down for a moment, we can even out the hips, pull the belly in nice and strong. Push the hands away from the floor. So there's effort in that lift in the front part of the body. And then lift the foot slightly off the floor. Just extend it back. Flexing the foot, toes towards the shin will give you a little more length from head to heel. And we're going to do a couple of crunches here. So round into that cat, and as you do, you bring that knee up and in. And then extend it back and out. Two more. And then extend it out and lift the opposite hand, balancing here, flexing the foot and making the spine long. Keep the eyes to the front of your mat, slightly down. And then bring the hand down, bring the knee down. Take that same knee out to the side, keep the knee bent, and make circles with your knee. Notice your hip. And go in the other direction. And float that knee down. Let's extend the other leg. Gaze slightly forward along the floor. Hands pressing away from the earth. Hip check down so that the hips are even. Float the leg up. And we'll do our crunches on this side. So rounding, pulling the knee in, and then extending. One more time. And then hold it here. Extend the opposite arm forward. Balancing for a moment. Breathing into the pose. Exhale the hand down, bend that knee in, and then take the knee out to the side and make those circles again. on the opposite side. And circle in the other direction. And place both knees down. Take the knees out a little bit, toes together. Push back into child's pose. And let the body just rest down towards earth. On your next inhale, start to walk the hands back. Knees come center. And once again, we come to Hero's Pose. Let's take the arms up overhead. Reaching long, keeping the chin neutral. Twist to one side. Bring the arms down. Gentle twist here. More of a turn than a twist. And then we come back and go in the other direction. Move the body through the air that's around you. And then come back to center. Come up onto the knees. Turn the toes under. And lean back ever so slightly and open the arms up. Embrace the day. It's a beautiful day. We want to acknowledge our surroundings in our yoga practice before we take it completely inward. And then we come on back down, push the heels back, bring the hands to the earth, and then come all the way down into your child's pose. Come up onto all fours. Let's step the left foot forward, keeping the right hand on the mat. We'll take a twist here. So we want to walk that right leg back a little bit. You can keep the toes turned down or come to the top of the foot. And then start to turn in your waist right here. Turning towards that bent knee, keeping the knee right over the ankle. And when you've gone as far as you can, bring the arm parallel to the floor and just lift it in line with your shoulders. Chin slightly tucked. Lengthen from your tailbone through the crown of your head. Keep breathing here. On your next exhale, bring the hand down. Walk the hands back as you start to straighten that front leg. Coming to the heel of the front foot, pull the toes up and get a nice stretch in the back of your leg. I'm not sitting all the way down because if I do, that whole chain of muscle releases. So by staying up a little bit, I'm creating a better stretch. And then exhale, bring that knee forward again. Step that foot back. Maybe take a child's pose here or a down dog. So plant the hands, push the hips back. Keep the knees bent for this first one. And just pedal your heels, releasing through the legs and the hips here. And then float the knees down gently. Stepping now the right foot forward so the ankle's under the knee. Keeping the left hand down, let's start our twist towards this right leg. Keep the knee right where it is, right over the ankle, and then take the hand out and lift it in line with your shoulders. And tuck the chin, but lengthen through the spine. Stay and breathe here. On your next exhale, release the pose, bringing the hand down. Walk the hands back. Start to straighten that front leg as you move your hips back, lifting the toes and feeling a little tension now in the back of that leg. Hold here for another couple breaths. And always release a pose on the exhale. Take the knee back and plant your hands And let's come into down dog once again. Knees slightly bent, pushing the hips back, lengthening through the spine, lifting tailbone, spreading across the shoulders, and then start to lower the heels. They don't have to touch, but as much as you can so that you feel the work in the legs now. And come up onto the balls of the feet. Round through your back and roll forward into a plank position here. Holding your plank, but breathing, always breathing. And then push back to down dog. Stay here, bend the knees, walk the hands back towards your feet. Bring the feet closer together or toes touching, heels apart. Keep the squat and then reach the hands forward. They can stay parallel to the earth or up alongside your ears as you come into your chair pose here. Shoulders down your back and the inner thighs trying to come together as if they were magnets, and they're drawing each other in. And then release all that and stand into tall mountain. Reach out of one side. Reach out of the other. And then taking the arms down at your side. Let's just take a couple breaths in our mountain pose. We're going to take a slow walk to the front of our mat to build some sense of balance here today. So bending that left knee, coming to the ball of the foot, take a tiny step forward, ball of the foot down, heel down, shifting your weight into that foot. Start to lift the right heel, the right toes, a tiny step forward. Using the core muscles here to hold you steady, and the slower you walk, the more you start to build that balance. Coming to the top of your mat, inhale the hands up, nice tall mountain here. And take them out to the side as you fold forward, pulling the belly button in, releasing the head towards the mat. Bring hands to your shins and then draw the shoulders back as you push the crown of the head forward, getting that length back into your spine. Exhale, round down. Plant your hands, step back with one foot, step back with the other, and coming into our plank once again. Draw the ribs towards each other. Keep the chin slightly tucked. Hold your plank, and then push back into down dog. Your down dog, knees can be bent, heels can be lifted. Remember, there's all kinds of ways to practice your yoga. Find what works. And then bending the knees, walk the hands back to those feet again, to the back of your mat, and roll up into mountain pose. So we're going to take our right foot forward, big step, 3 feet or more, and then bend into that knee so the knee tracks towards the toes. Back foot can turn out a little bit. You're going to turn the toes out, but you're going to rotate the whole leg inward just a little. Front knee stays where it is, but the thigh starts to rotate outward. You feel a squeeze maybe in your glutes. Hands can come up. We're in warrior one. Pause in your warrior one. Maybe again, open the arms, look up, embrace the day. And then exhale the hands back overhead. Bring the hands to your thigh. Straighten that front leg and let's lean out over that leg till you start to feel a stretch in the back of the leg. Now we're coming into pyramid pose here, and there's all kinds of ways to do it. You can keep your hands here on the thigh, on the shin. You could have blocks here, put your hands on the blocks, or you can release your fingertips to the floor and then lower your head to the earth so that the crown goes downward and the hips go upward. And exhale, bend into that knee. Keep the hands down, step the back foot to meet the front. And we'll come into that chair again, so inch those toes together. Keep the hips low, bring the upper body up into chair. Inner thighs drawing towards each other. Inhale all the way up, stretch, stretch, stretch. Bring the hands down in front of the heart. Now we'll step the right foot back and turn it out. So again, another good 3 feet, 3.5 feet. Bend into the left knee so it presses down into the ankle, into the heel. Keep the hips facing the front of your mat and bring your arms up into our warrior one. Pause here, shoulders down, and maybe once again, open those arms out a little bit and embrace your day. Hands come back, down through center, onto the thigh, start to straighten that front leg, and then you could walk the hands down to the shins, to the blocks, or to the mat. Release the head when you're there in pyramid pose. On your next inhale, bend into the left knee, sweep the arms up, and then we're going to step back foot forward as we release the arms to our side. Standing in mountain, noticing how our body feels here. And then we'll take that right leg back again and turn the toe out. Some people like to turn it out even deeper now. We're going to bend into that front knee, that left knee once again. I'm widening my stance as I bring my hips down a little bit. Shoulders are back, and we're going to look to the front of the mat and extend the arms in opposite directions here. So we want to come into what we call Warrior Two. And then here, just take a moment to rock forward and back an inch or so. See how that feels. And then adjust your stance. So some things you might do is walk the back foot back a little more or bring it forward a little bit. Find what works for you. Pulling up in the core muscles here, hold your pose. Breathe in and out, deep and smooth here. Looking out over the front fingertips, strengthen through the glutes, lower the back hand, turn the front palm and take it to the sky. You can take it straight up, or you can start to arch back a little bit. Maybe get into that front knee just a little bit deeper. Just make sure it doesn't go past the toes. That's so important for our knees. And then right away back to our Warrior Two. We're going to take that left hand to the inside of the right leg. Take the inside of the left leg. Take that right hip back and slide into our triangle. So the hips going back and the front body lowers down, sliding the hand down. Now I tend to keep my hand on the inner side of my shin. Some people like to put a block to the outside of their foot and place their hand on that. You go where you can, pulling that left hip under us and stacking the hips as much as possible. Keep that right hand on your lower back at first, drawing the shoulder back and stacking the shoulders. You can stay right here, it feels good. If you want more, you float that right hand up to the sky and open even more into your triangle pose. Now gaze can be down at the foot, it could be straight ahead, it could be up to that top hand. You find what works for you. And just hold the pose and see if there's any other little things that you can do to make your triangle better. Tucking the chin, lengthening the spine. One more breath here. And on the exhale, we're going to bring the top hand down to our back again. Take another big inhale. Exhale, bend into the front knee. Placing your forearm on that leg, take the right hand up and over for our side angle. Deeper stretch here now. We can really reach long. Check in with that front knee. Make sure you can still see your toes. And then taking that right hand, cartwheel it up, 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 and back to warrior two. Exhale and release the hands. Pivot to the long edge of your mat and take a forward fold here. Bring the hands down, turn the toes out, and just rock, bending into the knee, rocking side to side. And then come up, roll up slowly, mindfully, being aware. Roll your shoulders down your back. Now we can pivot our feet to the back edge of our mat, but we're going to have to do some adjusting. The back foot can be at 90, can be at 45. We want to bend now into the right leg, keeping the hips and the torso and the shoulders up, sinking the lower part of the body down. Rotate that front thigh outward and that back leg inward and extend your hands into our warrior two pose. And just again, rock back and forth. See how it feels. Then come to center and hold. On an exhale, lower the back hand, flip the front palm, and reach that right hand up, 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 up. It can go straight up. You can lean back a little bit. Just make sure that you keep a slight bend in that front leg as you stretch through the right side. And then release it back and down. Take that right hand to the inside of the right leg, left arm on your back, and just slide down as you pull that left hip back, you pull that right hip underneath as you come into triangle here. And again, options are keep your left hand on your back, take it out parallel to the floor, or take it to the sky. Wherever you're at, tuck your chin slightly. You can look down. You could look off to the side or up to the left hand. And from here, we want to pull that right leg back, open through the chest with a little bit of stretch across the front of the chest. And on your next exhale, you're going to bend into that right knee, bring the forearm to the thigh, and sweep the left hand up and over for side angle. On an exhale, take that top hand, inhale it up. It's going to lift your body up. Exhale back in to warrior two. And release the hands. Pivot to the long edge of your mat once again. This time turning the toes out. Let's sink the hips down. Knees going out towards the toes. You can support yourself on your thighs. If you have a chair, you can have it in front of you and support yourself on the chair. And once you're where you're going to be, where you know you can hold it for 4 breaths, bring your arms up into goddess, squeezing the shoulder blades back, hands back, elbows out to the side. And breathe. 2 more breaths. And then inhale, reach up, straighten the legs, straighten the arms, Release the hands down. Let's heel toe those feet together, and we come to our mountain pose. Beautiful. Let's come to the top of the mat one more time, and we'll take our vinyasa here. So we lift, 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 making the body long and tall. Soften your knees and then float the chest to the thighs. Again, the feet should be about 2 fists apart, and we rest with the head towards the earth. Plant the hands. We're going to step back into plank, 1 foot back at a time. And if this plank or position of plank is too much, always bring your knees down gently. Keeping the chest going forward and the heels of the feet going backwards gives you that nice long stretch in your body. Stay and breathe. Release the knees down, push the hips back, extended child. Stay here in an extended child for a moment. And then we'll walk the hands to the right, a little off your mat maybe, and then lower down with this nice deeper stretch now on the left side of the body. And then lifting the head, walk the hands all the way over to the left and take that same deep stretch on the right side from the hip all the way up to under the arm here. And then bring them center, come back up onto table, take your knees back a little bit and lower your body to the earth. So we already have our knees down. I'm going to turn my toes under for support. I'm going to lower the chest, bending the elbows towards me, and then sweep the chest forward as I lower my chest down, and then lift up into our cobra. So in cobra, you can be right here, elbows close to your body, and push the hands forward. And see how that feels in your lower back. If you're familiar with cobra, you can lift a little higher. But I always remind everybody, keep the elbows slightly bent in cobra for support. And then lower all the way down, cross forearms, stacking them, and rest your head on the forearms. Separate the legs out, turn the toes out, and take 4 breaths in crocodile. And then slowly bring the feet back in. Come up onto your forearms. Bend 1 foot, bend the other, and just rock them side to side. And allow the hips to rock with this, releasing any tension in your lower back. And then bring them steady. Take your left hand across the top of your mat. Reach back with your right hand. Now maybe this is it. You just hold on maybe to your pants or to your ankle. But if you can, thumb up, so we rotate the arm out and we grab the inside arch of our foot and then bend in towards our glutes, bending at the elbow. So there's not a lot of pressure here. I'm just kind of bending into the leg. And you can hold it here or float that thigh off the floor. And that is a very deep front of the thigh stretch, our quad. Feel how that feels. Too much, put it back down and just pull the heel towards the glute. And then we release that one down, straighten the legs. Switch arms, so now the right arm comes across the front of the mat. Spread the fingers, and then we take the other foot, bend it in. You can bend both in. I'm going to bend one in. Take our hand, rotate thumb up, holding on to the arch of the foot. Just hold here for a moment, let the body adjust, and then when you're ready, you float that thigh off the floor. And keep breathing. On your exhale, lower down, release, come back to crocodile. And in crocodile, really breathe into the lower back and see if you can make the hips, the front of the hips, even heavier as they rest on the floor. And then slowly come up, bring the feet together, push back into our table position. And we'll do a little bit more release for the hips. So we're just going to take them in circles. And find as much movement here as feels good to you. In whatever direction you're going in, reverse that. Do equally number of circles on the other side in the other direction. And we'll come to center, and once again, let's bring that left foot forward into a low lunge. Turn the back toes under, walk the foot back just a little bit, and then let the hips get heavy towards that front left heel. You can stay here with the fingers on the floor, or you can sweep the hands up overhead. Hold here into our low lunge position. Exhale the hands down. To add on to that, I'm going to lift the back knee and see how that feels. I'm adjusting my foot now, so you can try the same. And if you want to stay right here, just pushing that back leg up and back, heel lifts up away from the floor as you press strongly into the ball of that right foot. If you want more, spread your front toes, sweep the arms up, draw the belly in. A high lunge position now. Exhale the hands down, release the knee, bring the left foot back. Open your knees, push back into child's pose. Take 3 breaths. And then on your next inhale, come on up. Bring that right foot forward. Let's do low lunge first. So we walk the left knee back. Let the hips get heavy towards that front heel. Keep the fingers on the earth. And once you're steady, maybe you sweep the hands up. And then sweeping them down on an exhale. I'm going to come into that high lunge. You can come back to just that low lunge. Lifting the back knee up, sweep the arms up, steady the body, and then push that back leg straight and lift the heel. That effort into that back leg is what's going to hold you nice and steady here. Maybe 2 more breaths, or you can release at any time, right? Exhale on the release. Bring the back knee down. Step that right foot back, and let's swing the feet to one side and come to our seated position. Hips under the shoulders, legs out in front of us. Sit tall. So sitting with effort here. So we lift the front side of the body, let the shoulders drop down. Just see how that feels for you. And then we're going to take that right foot, we're going to bend it and bring the foot back to the outside of the right hip. Now, if this is uncomfortable for you, see if I can reach my blanket here, you can always put the blanket under the foot, and that does pad it a little bit, and it does help raise the foot a little bit off the floor. So you can try that. Another thing you can do is sit on a blanket and bring the hips up. So that's another option. So one leg's forward, one leg's bent out to the side. And We just sit tall and we stretch again into the front of that bent leg. We're going to take a stretch for the back of the left leg. So we lift the arms, keep the shoulders down, and just float the arms forward to where you kind of get stuck, if you will. But you just get to a point where you say, that's it for me. Place your hands on the mat, supporting yourself. Keep the toes pointing upward to protect the knee. And on me, there's a little space under the knee, so that's okay too. And then after a few breaths, we start to lower the chest down as close as you want to where it feels like you're stretching through the back of this left leg and at the same time stretching through the quad on the right. After a few breaths, maybe you lower a little deeper. The body starts to release its tightness, its tendency to grip if we hold a pose. On an inhale, slowly walk those hands up, bring both feet forward, lean back onto your hands or onto your elbows, and just rock those legs side to side. We got the other side to do, let's do it. So now we take that left foot back by the hip. I'm going to turn a little bit so you can see what that looks like. And then we're going, I guess that really didn't help, but it's by my hip. The front leg, the right leg is nice and straight, toes are up, so that actually gives me a little bit of rotation inward, just a tiny little bit. Sitting tall, just kind of settle in, use your blanket if you need it. Hands can come up. And then we float out over the right leg now. Hands come down and we hold. And wherever you're at, that's okay. We want to bring the heart forward and just enjoy the stretch. And then after a few minutes, maybe you lower the chest a little bit more, maybe not. Coaxing the body into a stretch, a deeper stretch. And then on an exhale, release. Inhale, walk the hands back and up. Bring both feet forward. This time we're going to lean back onto our elbows, bending the knees and rock the feet. Rock the knees side to side here. Just let it all be free and loose. And then come all the way down onto your mat. I'm going to adjust my microphone here to the side so that I too can lie down. Keep the knees bent. Adjust yourself on your mat so you have room above your head. And we'll come into an easy bridge. So we just want to tilt the front of the pelvic towards the front of the ribs, and the tailbone goes down towards your heels. You can have the heels almost touching your fingertips. That's always a judgment for me. So like if they aren't too far and I can touch them, I want to walk them away an inch. So I give myself room to move my hip, and you just lift and lower that tailbone, just kind of rocking into the bowl of the pelvic area here and the hips. And then we're going to plant the feet, push into the feet, tilt the pelvic so that the tailbone goes towards the heels, and lift off the floor ever so a little bit until you feel some weight into your shoulders. And just stay here. That doesn't have to be really high. Hands are alongside for support. We actually want to round the back as we lower down and release the hips. And really release. Let it go. Let them get heavy. Because you get a fuller movement in this pose if you go to that ease right here of the hips resting on the floor. And then when you put effort in, the body will use that energy to lift you into bridge. I'm going to do moving bridge here next. So again, I want to rock my pelvic, tailbone towards the heels, tops of the hips towards the ribs. And then as I lift my hips, I lift my arms up. They could stay right overhead towards the ceiling, or if you have the range of motion, maybe you reach them up onto the floor behind your head, or I should say above your head, but they're on the floor. And then to bring it back, we start with the arms, and then we round through the back, and we lower down with control and ease. And once you're there, we just let it rest. Let's do it one more time. Now, if you're finding this a little challenging and you have a book or a block or a blanket, you can always come into a supported bridge with the block under your sit bones. Here we go. Tilt, start the lift, move the arms up over as much as you can. And then right away, exhale to start to lower them down, rounding the spine slightly. Release through all your muscles. And then just take a break or breath with them on the floor. Drawing the right knee in, you can hold behind the right thigh. And we're going to really pull that thigh towards the belly and then start to straighten the leg. And it's not going to straighten completely, but as you start to straighten, perhaps you could slide your hands behind the calf muscle and get a straighter leg. Let the leg move away from you as much as it needs to get that length in the leg. Hold and breathe. You can point or flex. That's going to affect the calf muscle. And then wherever you're at, just exhale and release all that effort. Bend that leg and bring the foot to the earth. Let's try it on the other side. Bring the knee in as much as you can, really right towards your ribs. Hands behind the leg. And then we start to straighten. It won't straighten completely yet. And then as you start to straighten it, slide the hands behind the calf. And there's just a little effort. I'm pulling towards the leg with the hands, and I'm pushing the leg into the hands, creating that balance of energy as I straighten the leg towards the sky. And then once you're there, you hold it so that the muscles start to open up, accepting the stretch, and then we release it slowly, exhaling, bending, and releasing it back to earth. Let's take the arms out into a T so they come out right out of the shoulders. Palms could be on the earth here. And then I'm going to bring my knees together and bump onto the right hip so that when I do twist, my right hip's in line with my spine. And then we just roll the knees to the right. Try to keep that left shoulder on the earth. So if it came up like this, come on back a little bit and then prop your knees so that you do get the stretch where we want it, which is in the side of the ribs. So if we let that shoulder come up, we won't get that. So here we go. We just kind of lower them down towards the earth, propped or not. And then we want to turn our head in the opposite direction here. And as I said before, we take 3-4 breaths here, maybe even more, but today we'll do 4. And we're going to just kind of feel that breath stretching out that left side, all the way down to the hip, maybe even into the top of the left leg. And then wherever you're at, release that and use your feet to bring those feet back to center. Knees up. Let's do it on the other side. So again, we're going to bump onto the left hip, so the left hip's in line with the spine. And keeping that right shoulder down, we're going to roll the knees. And if the knees don't reach the earth, we just prop them with a block so that they too can kind of release as we stretch through the right side now. Turning our head to the right. Knees in one direction, head in the other. Two more breaths. Allow the body to open and stretch. Allow the energy that surrounds us to fill your body with energy. And then slowly bring the head back, bring the knees back, lifting the hips, resetting them. Now draw your knees in towards your belly. Place your hands on your kneecaps. Press the legs together and just circle the knees around. And let's go in the other direction. And then place the feet down. We're going to come into Shavasana. So I'm going to end class while I'm on the mat in Shavasana so that you can continue your Shavasana without me at the end of this video. So we come into Shavasana by lengthening the body. I separate the feet out a little bit so I get that external release of the legs. Take your hands out away from the body a little bit so the shoulders can feel the support of the earth. Palms are up. Some people like to place them on their belly, and that's okay too. Whatever makes it easy for you to get into the breath, that's okay. Closing your eyes and just feeling the heaviness of the eyelids. And on an exhale, soften around your eyes as they stay closed. Feel that release down into the jaw. Take another breath into the neck area. And as you exhale, let the head be just that much heavier. Feel supported by the floor and by the earth. So it allows your body to focus on the softening. Breathe down the arms, from the shoulders to the elbows and wrists. And feel the weight of the air on the palms as the arms soften, so that we're not making any effort now to engage any muscles. And we sense the air around us, maybe sensing the air pressure, if you will, into those palms. It's subtle. You might not feel it, and that's okay too. Take your next breath awareness into the torso. And then as you exhale, release the back muscles, the top muscles, the trapezius and the rhomboids. Continue to breathe here with a focus on your back. And on each exhale, find a muscle you can release. So it might be the side QLs, it might be your glutes, it might be those long muscles along the spine. You don't need to know where they are. You just need to breathe in, and as you exhale, soften those muscles. Feel the backbone supported by the earth. Breathe into the hip area. And as you exhale, notice how heavy your hips might feel. And then breathe down the legs from the hips to the knees, to the ankles and the toes. And here again, on the exhale, soften as much as you can the muscles of the legs. And stay here in Shavasana and continue the breath. And bring your awareness of the breath at the very tip of your nose. Stay with that focus, breathing in and out, deep and smoothly. And as I said, well, you can stay here for as long as you want. And I encourage you to stay for at least another 4 minutes. I'm going to end the video. So I'm going to bring my hands together at my heart and I'm going to say, Namaste. Thank you for joining me.